Hello and a very warm welcome to you all. I'm Meha Bharadwaj-Alter and you are watching Game On. Asia Cup 2023 is upon us. On News 9 Live, we will be covering the tournament extensively, so do subscribe to our channel. And now we'll begin with this coverage. They say timing is everything in life and in cricket. This Asia Cup couldn't have come at a better time. With just over a month to go for the ODI World Cup, 5 of the 6 teams will look to find all the answers to the possible questions they will be asked at the World Cup. Asia Cup will provide them the opportunity to try out players coming back from injury, the opportunity to find the right balance in their squad, the experience of playing 4 teams that they will go up against in the World Cup later on. So, this tournament is very significant and whoever wins it will carry that confidence into the World Cup as well. Jamie Alter and Chetan Narula, 2 senior journalists, author, one is an actor, one's written a lot of books. They're both here with us. And as we continue the build-up, guys, is it going to be an India-Pakistan final? Because what I was reading today was that in those 15 editions of this tournament, given that the organizers have always tried to put India and Pakistan together, we've not seen an India-Pakistan final in the Asia Cup. Will that change this time around? Chetan?
Hello Meha, hello Jamie, and hello to our audience as well. Well, we hope so. I mean, Pakistan, to me, are the favorites for this Asia Cup. And of course, India, the bare minimum has to be for them to get to the final of the Asia Cup. So if the 2 top teams get into the final, that will be another blockbuster event. I know some people in Mumbai, especially, the broadcasters, they'll be hoping that they get 3 India-Pakistan matches. So yeah, I mean, all of us are hoping the next 3 weekends gives us an India-Pakistan buffet in a way over the next 3 weekends. And like I said, it's the bare minimum for India. And we'll take it from there.
I'm excited about this tournament, Jamie, because of the relevance, the timing of it, right? I mean, there is so much to look forward to, not just, to see how the Indian team does. Of course, we'll keep an eye on that, but just the other teams as well, because India will be facing all these teams, 4 of these teams in the World Cup next month. So in that sense, this is very significant.
Absolutely. I think for the past, not 10 years, but at least I recall the 16 one was held in the T20I format in Bangladesh. That, if I'm not mistaken, was in the build-up to the 2016 T20 World Cup. 18 was in September, October, still some ways away from the 19 World Cup, but definitely the saya of that World Cup was there, because that was the tournament where Rohit Sharma and Ravi Shastri both confirmed from their perspective that Ambati Rayudu had done enough to bat at number 4 in the World Cup. And then, of course, we had last year, which was literally a month before the T20 World Cup in Australia. So if you see, the last 4 or 5 editions, they have sort of been in a build-up to the bigger picture. That said, right now, given the fact that India is struggling, they have players coming back. KL Rahul is still not back. Technically, it's been confirmed. We all knew this, but it's been confirmed now that he's out for 2 matches. So, it is perhaps a decade ago, I would say the tournament would have lost a bit of relevance. But each time it comes, Meha, in the build-up to these bigger ICC events, you sort of do see, the teams and the fans particularly get interested. Of course, host broadcasters, we're all on the same page. Yeah. They would love to see 3 times India-Pakistan. But it's actually quite alarming that since 1984, 15, 16 editions, we've not seen that, the mother of all one-day finals like we've seen in several other tournaments. So from that perspective, yes, the host broadcasters would love it to happen. Will it happen? I think I've sort of swapped, I've interchanged, I would say, where I see India and Sri Lanka landing up, because Sri Lanka are now down 4 players. 2 have been ruled out. 1 is on the verge of being ruled out, and the 4th, Hasaranga, may not play even a single game. So looking at how depleted that team already is, I think the chances of India-Pakistan have gone up significantly since we last spoke. Because the last time we spoke, Chetan and I had backed Sri Lanka to the fair hilt. But right now, they just don't seem the same, unfortunately.
Yes, we'll be discussing all the 6 teams. But let's first tell you everything you need to know about this tournament. 6 teams will be competing against each other to become the champions of Asia. The tournament will be co-hosted by Pakistan and Sri Lanka. And the 6 teams that are participating are India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and first-timers, Nepal. The teams are divided in two groups, with India, Pakistan and Nepal in Group A and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Afghanistan in Group B. So, moving on to what the format will be like. The two groups will play in the round-robin style within their group, and then the top two sides from both the groups will qualify for the Super 4 stage. The Super 4 stage will be another round-robin series of games. The top two then will qualify for the final, which will be played on the 17th of September in Colombo. So 13 games will be played overall, with 4 matches in Pakistan and the rest of them in Sri Lanka. The most important game for Indian fans, as we were just discussing, is of course India versus Pakistan. That will be played on the 2nd of September in Kandy. If both India and Pakistan qualify to the Super 4 stage, they will play each other again on the 10th of September in Colombo. So mark those dates in your calendar. Then if they top the Super 4s, it's the big final. So a lot to look forward to, as we've been saying. What Jamie just said, Chetan, about Sri Lanka being a depleted side, and that is going to be a big one, right? 3 of their best bowlers and Manindu Hasaranga as well, now almost on the verge of being out. How much of an impact will this make? The fact that Chamira was already out, now you have Lahiru Kumara, who's been ruled out, as well as Madhushanka.
Oh, absolutely. I think it has changed the complexion of that particular group, not only from the, from a Super 4 point of view, but also from the initial group stage point of view, because they're playing Afghanistan and Bangladesh, who are going to be at full strength, who are looking to prepare for the ODI World Cup. So, yes, Sri Lanka are co-hosting the Asia Cup, but there's a good chance that Sri Lanka will probably not reach the Super 4 stage given their depleted bowling attack. So, they'll be hoping that they can take advantage of the home conditions. In fact, they will not be playing the first 2 games at home, so even that is not there for them. So, I am a little scared of Sri Lanka's prospects in this Asia Cup. I fear they will probably not reach the Super 4 stage.
Okay, Jamie, Pakistan though, how buoyed will they be by that series win against Afghanistan, so close to the Asia Cup, and going into that first match of theirs against India? Between the two teams, who do you think will be under more pressure?
I'm going to have to say India for reasons that we've discussed numerous times. So because of the fact that, the experiments haven't worked, the insecurity and the doubts around certain players. But look, Pakistan having beaten Afghanistan 3-0, they've now moved from number 2 to number 1. So again, I have little regard for the rankings, but Pakistan and their army of fans will, of course, dekho hum log number 1 pe hai. And I think if we look, because I think before this Afghanistan series, they played back in Jan, against New Zealand. So that's, 6-7 months is a long time when it comes to international cricket. What they will have taken, to my mind, from these 3 matches is, look, one match, our batting underperformed. They struggled to 200 odd, but then they blew away Afghanistan for 59. Okay. The very next match, different conditions, same ground. They barely struggled to, they barely managed to overcome a target of 300 odd. We saw some wickets fall. We saw their bowlers had an off day. Some batsmen clicked. There was a Munkard attempt, all that stuff. But the point is that they, despite being pushed to the limit by Afghanistan, who, let's not forget, went to Bangladesh and won 2-1 there, Pakistan would have realized, look, we've had a great game. We barely won. And then third match, they go and they played much better. So they've got, to their credit, a 3-0 series win over Afghanistan, who, like Chetan just said, will be at full strength and now look very, very different in that group with the aforementioned problems that Sri Lanka have. Now, we all know, I'm not even going to talk about Pakistan's bowling. We all know that's always been their strength. But the batting, you see the kind of batting they have. The top 4 getters for them in ODIs this year all happen to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So once again, a bit of deja vu here, like we were discussing last year when it came to Pakistan's chances in the Asia Cup and the T20 World Cup. If those top 3 or 4 don't click, where are the runs going to come? So yes, they're number 1. Yes, they've just blanked Afghanistan 3-0. But I feel there's enough jitter there that India would feel like, if we can just get Babar, Fakhar Zaman, Imamul Haq, it's going to be too much on the likes of Rizwan batting at 4 to really shore up the total and get something, big enough to challenge India.
But what about Indian openers against the Pakistani quicks? I mean, that's something that we all are worried about. I'm sure Rohit Sharma has obviously thought about it as well. and KL Rahul if he plays, but he's not playing, that we already know. So now that is the other big question: who is going to be replacing KL Rahul in the first two ODIs in Asia Cup? We'll discuss that in just a bit. But you know, the threat of Pakistan's fast bowlers, how big will that be for India?
Well, Meha, first of all, do we even know who's going to open the innings for India?
That's the thing.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line here. I mean, listening to what Rahul Dravid said today, which we will discuss further in the program, and also what Rohit Sharma said earlier, that, you know, everybody should be able to bat differently in different positions. I mean, it's time to walk the talk. Make Shubman Gill bat in the middle order, or Ishan Kishan, who has to play, make him bat in the middle order. They have to decide right now what they're going to do in case KL Rahul, who's not available for the first two matches, is also not available for some part of the World Cup. Whatever happens, if Ishan Kishan has to be the number one wicketkeeper in the side. So I think it's time to walk the talk. They'll have to decide what needs to be done imminently. Something tells me they've probably decided it already, since they already know KL Rahul is not going to play the first two games. So yeah, it's high time the experimentation stops. Obviously, the Pakistan attack, I think it's one of the most fearful attacks in the ODI arena today, along with Australia and England, perhaps New Zealand as well, because Trent Bolt is going to be available for New Zealand for this World Cup. So that left arm angle, Shaheen Afridi, listening to Viv Richards today, Sir Viv Richards already said Shaheen Afridi to pick the most wickets in the ODI World Cup. So he has his money on Shaheen Afridi to bamboozle not only India, but also the other teams in the World Cup, in the Asia Cup. So that is the most fearsome attack. And India will have to take into consideration that their top three right-handers or top four right-handers or whatever combination they decide, they are susceptible to left arm swing early in their innings.
Okay, now this is the big news from today. India wicketkeeper batter KL Rahul, he's been ruled out of the first two matches of the Asia Cup, which will kickstart from Wednesday in Multan. India head coach Rahul Dravid confirmed the news during the pre-departure press conference that the 31-year-old batter, who was named in the squad after recovering from his injury, will not be available for the first two matches against Pakistan and Nepal. Earlier, during the squad announcement, BCCI chief selector Ajit Agarkar had told the media that Rahul was suffering from a slight niggle. This means Rahul will only be available from the Super 4 stage if India qualify. Now, this is what Rahul Dravid had to say about KL Rahul, and we're going to put that quote of Rahul Dravid on your screens. He says KL has had a good week here at India's conditioning camp with us, trained well and done a lot of things. He's progressing really well, and but he will be unavailable for the first part of the Kandy leg of the trip. The NCA will be looking after him for the next few days while we are traveling. We will reassess on the 4th of September and then take it from there. But the signs are looking good. He will be unavailable for the first two games. Now, this is what Rahul Dravid had to say when he was asked this question. And this also tells you how desperate the Indian team management is with regards to KL Rahul's fitness, because they want him. Now they are finding themselves in a situation where they are going to be in a World Cup, in an Asia Cup game against Pakistan, the first one, and that they don't, then obviously now they know that KL Rahul is not going to play, which means that who comes in place of KL Rahul, which was the discussion that we've been having on this show with Jamie and with Chetan, that if KL Rahul is not available, what should India look to do? Now, in the squad itself, they have Ishan Kishan, who is part of the squad, and they have Sanju Samson, who is the reserve player. He is the travelling reserve player. But the problem here is that Ishan Kishan is in the squad as the backup opener. In the last series that India played, ODI series against the West Indies, Ishan Kishan opened in that series and did well, very well in fact. But now the problem is that Ishan Kishan will have to come in the middle order. Is that a viable solution for India? Let's put that question across to Jamie and Chetan and figure out what they think of this. Now, this is what we'd been fearing, and this has happened, Jamie, and that's why I wonder how they will go about this, because the easiest thing is to shuffle Ishan Kishan down the order, but what you're doing is you're playing with him, and you are playing with his mind, you're putting him in a pressure situation. You know that you yourself have defined a role for him, which is of a backup opener, of an opener in case one of the openers is not fit, and now you're going to put him down. How good would that solution be, or should India look to do something else, like maybe shuffle Shubman Gill down the order?
No, I would not want to see any of Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli, and the returning Shreyas Iyer bat anywhere else. 1, 2 have done well, perhaps not for a long run together, because Rohit and Shubman have not got too many chances, but individually they've done well. And this year against Sri Lanka and New Zealand, they were, they did enough. So they opened. Virat Kohli, of course, number 3. And then if, like we'd all like to believe, Shreyas Iyer is fully fit, match fit, and he's starting on the 2nd of September against Pakistan, then the only place he bats is number 4. I've read talks that he's interchangeable and all this stuff. Absolutely not. If he's your most successful number 4 in the one-day format for the last 24 months, then by all means, you put him back there. Your number 5 and 6, that's where things can be interchangeable. That's where things can be flexible. Now, Ishan Kishan, we all know, yes, he's made his name opening predominantly, but it's not like he's not accustomed to the middle order. He has batted in the middle order before, not so much at number 5, but I think given Rahul's absence, Meha and Chetan, and saying that he's playing only because KL Rahul is not available for 2 matches, then to my mind, Ishan Kishan bats at number 5. You have Hardik Pandya, the finisher. He bats at number 6. And then because Jadeja is locked in at number 7, there really is no other place, to my mind, for Ishan Kishan than number 5.
Okay, Chetan, do you agree, or do you think there should be some other changes? Because this does seem like the best possible solution to this problem.
Well, no, I absolutely agree with Jamie that, if Shreyas Iyer is fit and is going to start the Asia Cup, then he has to bat at number 4. He is our number 4 batsman. He's dominated in that position. He knows what to do. He doesn't need to be told, no experimentation, just some game time to get under his belt. Shubman Gill has done enough over the last 1.5 years, so let's give him the benefit of doubt. Rohit Sharma, he has a fantastic ODI record. Virat Kohli owns number 3, so you can't really change all of that. The only point of differentiation I have from Jamie's opinion is that I would not change Hardik Pandya from number 5. I would bat Hardik Pandya at number 5, Ishan Kishan at number 6 if he's keeping wickets and he's batting in the middle order, because I think Hardik Pandya can do some good at number 5, not just come in at number 6 and play some slam bang cricket. I think he needs a few deliveries to get started to attack the bowling. So yes, it makes our entire batting lineup completely right-handed, but that is not my job description to think of. Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma should have thought about that much earlier. But yes, Ishan Kishan at number 6 for me.
What about all the Sanju Samson fans, guys? I mean, they are going to say, what more should Sanju Samson do to be part of that, to be part of that squad, to be part of that playing 11? He's averaging above 50 in ODIs, and then he doesn't get a chance in the middle order. Definitely has better numbers, Jamie, than Ishan Kishan does in the middle order. And so in that sense, do you think that they should even think about trying Sanju Samson? Chetan, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath while I discuss this with Jamie.
See, look, if KL Rahul were 100% fit, based on his stats at number 5, like we've discussed, and I don't believe in this line of thinking, but the faith that the Indian team management, particularly since Rahul Dravid took over, in KL Rahul being a wicket keeper, then Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson would not even be in the discussion, and Sanju Samson would not even be in this squad. He's only a traveling reserve for this. In fact, I think he's the only traveling reserve to the Asia Cup, is because there are still doubts over KL Rahul's fitness, which has now been confirmed. He's out for the first 2 matches, and let's hope it's only 2 matches and not anything further heading into the Super 4. That said, yes, man to man, Sanju Samson's stats in the middle order are much, much better than Ishan Kishan, purely at number 4. But because Ishan Kishan has been a regular across 3 formats, and Sanju Samson has not played Test cricket, he has an abysmal run in T20Is. And yes, the stats show that he's done a good job. he right now is so far removed from the team's thinking, and I mean positive thinking, that he is not going to get a game unless Ishan Kishan, something happens to him. And Ishan Kishan, if he's fit, is going to play every single match until KL Rahul is fit. If Khudana Khasta, something happens to Ishan Kishan, only and only then does Sanju Samson come into India's line of thinking.
Okay, a couple of more quotes from Rahul Dravid where he talks about how he's not happy with the term experimentation and how he had no choice. Let's put that quote up and get a reaction from both Jamie and Chetan. He says this word experimentation keeps getting thrown around a lot without actually being thought through. We're not experimenting for the sake of experimenting. Sometimes there are specific reasons why you have to experiment. He goes on to then say, just to give you an example, the number 4 and number 5 spots got discussed a lot. There's an impression that we do not have clarity on who is going to be there. I could have told you 18 months ago who is going to play at number 4 and number 5 slots. It was always going to be between KL, Shreyas and Rishabh. There was no doubt in our minds. All of them had injuries then close to each other, and what were the odds of that happening? Nobody can calculate for that. And then says all 3 of them were pushing for that spot. They all had to go under the knife, and all 3 of them had serious injuries. And he's got a valid point there, Jamie, when he says this. But the part that I don't agree with Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma is what they did while these players were not available. And, the planning around it, just giving anybody and everybody an opportunity to just go out there, bat at 4. I mean, Akshar Patel at 4, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I keep coming back to it, and I'm sure Chetan will talk about it as well. But maybe the planning could have been slightly better. Maybe they just needed to spot players who could bat in the middle order and then give them more opportunities than just shuffling, players, or just somehow giving one player a chance, then another one, and then another one?
Yeah, I think, most of this confusion sort of hit a boiling point during the West Indies series, where we're chasing, 115 in that first match. Seems like a long time ago, but it was hardly less than a month ago. They totally shuffled around the batting order, right? Rohit Sharma coming out at number 7, Virat Kohli carded at number 6, but not padded up. Shardul Thakur at 6, Virat Kohli 8, and then, So again, it's just a very small sample size, but enough to my mind to let us know that they're not quite sure. When the target is 115, right? What is Rohit Sharma scared to bat because it's a 2-paced pitch and his numbers might dip? It just made no sense, right? You're just chasing 115, finish it off, right? Ishan Kishan, yes, we know, like you said, Maya, he's slotted in as the 3rd opener. But again, he's not going to open in the World Cup unless Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill get injured, right?
Yes.
So these kind of things, yes, led to a lot of confusion. But I think more than what the Indian team actually thought and then set out to do, it's the kind of comments we heard, not from Rahul Dravid, as such, also Rohit Sharma, also Hardik Pandya. Those comments didn't really make sense. The same person who's using the words experiments a few weeks ago is now saying that, no, we don't like to use these words. It just paints a very confusing picture from, let's face it, a pair which has left many of us confused. Ever since Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid became the captain-coach pairing, going back to the Asia Cup, to the T20 World Cup, there's been enough confusing statements, confusing decisions, confusing selections, which frankly, do we have any other word to use but experiments? Yes, it's a strange word to use all the time, but is there any other word that makes sense? It's all very well for him to come now and say that, oh, it's not the right term to use. But sir, what else do we label the kind of chopping and changing you've done, right?
Okay, then what do you have to say about Shreyas Iyer? Now we're all wondering whether Shreyas Iyer is fit enough. KL Rahul, we know the NC is happy with his fitness when it comes to his batting workload, but when it comes to his keeping, that's where the problem is. But what about Shreyas Iyer? This is what Rahul Dravid had to say about Shreyas Iyer. He goes on to say that he looked pretty good. All about giving him more game time. Hopefully, it'll come good in Asia Cup. In terms of fitness, he's done really well, has batted really well, ticked all the boxes. And that leads me to the next question. I'm not so worried about Shreyas Iyer and how he does in the Asia Cup first 2 games, because it'll be about him wanting to get back, wanting to get that match experience. Chetan, what I'm worried about is if KL Rahul does not play the first 2 games, which means that by the third, they wouldn't know. He wouldn't have played a single game. And by 5th, you have to give your World Cup squad. Do you think KL Rahul will feature in that World Cup squad? Is it okay to do that?
Well, if you ask me if it's okay to do that, probably not. But this is the reality that the Indian team management has been facing up to for the last 2-3 months. Even in the West Indies, when Rahul Dravid says, "Oh, we were not really experimenting." If you were not experimenting, I'm not sure what you were doing. But if they were not really experimenting, that means they knew what the real fitness status of both Rahul and Shreyas Iyer was. So, and that is something that we opined on the show as well. So, they can select KL Rahul, to answer your question, based specifically on his fitness, hoping that his injury would sufficiently heal before the World Cup and he'll be ready to keep wickets without having played any games whatsoever. And then if obviously it doesn't heal enough and they need a replacement, they can always call up Sanju Samson for the World Cup. But yes, the worst part of it will be that, Shreyas Iyer will be the only middle order batsman that they would have tried out. Ishan Kishan, the experimentation continues, batting at number 5 or at number 6. But most importantly, somebody like a Sanju Samson will miss out important opportunities to probably bat, get some game time under his belt if they are still trying to meddle with fitness, etc., etc. But just based on the fitness bit, if the reports are good enough, if he's fit enough to go and join the Asia Cup squad in Sri Lanka, KL Rahul will make the World Cup squad on September 5. There is no doubt about that.
You know, what I wonder about, Jamie, is that what if Ishan Kishan ends up doing well? Plays a brilliant innings against Pakistan. What do you do then?
Look, Ishan Kishan unfortunately is in that slot, just like Surya Kumar Yadav. He's not a first choice player. Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav and Sanju Samson, they play one-day cricket when one of these big 3-4 players are rested or injured. Their entire one-day careers have been made. Ishan Kishan would not have even been in talks had he not got that double hundred in that dead rubber because Rohit Sharma got injured, right? So it's because players, KL Rahul's absent for so many months, that's why Sky gets a game a year. So it is what it is. He could get a double hundred against Pakistan, but the faith that KL Rahul has in this team will last longer than anything that Ishan Kishan does with a bat in his hand, right? So he might get runs, but until it's confirmed that KL Rahul is fit to play, or I just somehow, I don't want to be pessimistic here, but I just get the feeling he might not even play the entire Asia Cup because we've seen the man is so brittle, KL Rahul. Let's hope that he comes back. But India, I said this many times, I hope they're bracing for an Asia Cup without KL Rahul, which I believe that they might be. That's why there.
Sorry, that's that. 1 second, Chetan. My problem is the lack of contingency plan. What if you want to play KL Rahul and he's fit as a batter, but you cannot just give him that wicket-keeping duties for 50 overs in the Asia Cup? Is that something then you look to do? I'm thinking of what are your plan B, C, D, E, because that's where the problem is going to be in case KL Rahul is not fit. And why then keep waiting on his fitness? We're really now we're getting close to the World Cup. I mean, this is it.
Oh, I mean, no, if KL Rahul is fit, he walks into the playing 11. There's no doubt about that. The Indian team management is very clear, irrespective of whether Shubman Gill opens the innings or Ishan Kishan opens the innings. KL Rahul fit, he walks into that playing 11, he keeps wickets. That's the bottom line. That's what they've been telling us for so long, and that's what I expect them to do. Even the entire conversation, the entire build-up with his comeback into the Asia Cup squad, despite that groin injury, that groin niggle, the entire conversation, whether it's Rohit Sharma, Ajit Agarkar, Rahul Dravid, all of them, they made sure they put it in the bottom line. He walks back into the Indian 11, bats at number 5, and he also keeps wickets. So then you decide whether you open with Shubman Gill and Ishan Kishan. And which brings me to that question you asked, what if he scores really good runs against Pakistan? I want to ask you, is he opening the innings or is he batting in the middle order? Because if he's batting in the middle order and he scores good runs, that means our top order has failed, which is not such a great thing. Yeah.
No, that's not necessarily going to be the only way.
100 for 4. Ishan Kishan to score 100 for 4 against Pakistan. That has to be the score.
Okay. This is what then Rahul Dravid had to say about Jasprit Bumrah. At least one good news is that Jasprit Bumrah is fit. He's looked good. He's got wickets in the Ireland series. And India, we all know India missed him. So this is what he has had to say. Let's put that quote up. He says, we missed Jasprit Bumrah a lot over the past 2 years. He hasn't played a lot. Good to see him back. It does give us more options in pace bowling department, especially in a long tournament like the World Cup. Gentlemen, I've got to ask you this. You're 4 specialist bowlers, right? The biggest problem is that none of them can bat. And what do you do then? Do you want to then play Shardul Thakur, in place of another specialist pacer? Because I think that will be a huge thing, especially against a team like Pakistan with that kind of bowling attack. I mean, what would you want to do? Jamie, and then I'll come to Chetan.
Shardul Thakur has to play throughout the Asia Cup. I mean, look, as well as Mohammad Shami has done, let's not forget that Mohammad Shami came back into the one-day setup because there were doubts over Jasprit Bumrah. For almost 2 years, he not played ODIs post the last IPL, 22 IPL, where he did well. He came in, he played a couple one-day matches in England, but that's when Jasprit Bumrah's injuries, and there was a sense that something was not right. That's when, they were laid bare. So, no disrespect to him. He's played only because Jasprit Bumrah has been away for 11 months. Now that Bumrah's back, Bumrah plays. I think we've discussed enough that at least Chetan and I both feel that he should not play that Nepal game. Mohammad Siraj has taken a lot of wickets, 43 wickets in the last 2 years. He briefly was number 1. And like we discussed last time, he's got a bit of more zip than Mohammad Shami. So the bowlers, to my mind, end up, your 2 fast bowlers are Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. Shardul Thakur is required because he's a wicket taker and he's going to bat. Chetan just mentioned 100 for 4. It's not entirely out of the realm of all our imagination that is what happens, and you're going to need someone like him. I'm not saying Shardul Thakur is going to start at the World Cup, but I feel he needs to play. He needs to play the Asia Cup. Kuldeep Yadav is your premier white ball spinner. He plays. Jadeja comes straight back in, and the Hardik Pandya probably bowls you 5 overs. That is my bowling option right now for India.
Chetan?
Well, you look at it, Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, they cannot play together. 3 of them can't play together. And in any combination, the 3 of them and Kuldeep Yadav, they can't play together because then you're reducing your batting options.
Yeah.
Jamie and I have been on other shows and we've discussed this to perfect detail. Shardul Thakur and Hardik Pandya have to play your third pacer role together. And on most occasions, it's going to be a toss-up between Shardul Thakur and Akshar Patel. So it's either going to be a combination of Shardul and Hardik bowling that third bowler's overs, or Hardik and Akshar. On a good day, they could give you up to 16 overs together. On a bad day, you will get 10 overs at least. So that also leaves your 2 spinners to give you 20 overs. So 6 bowling options with 2 pacers, Shardul or Akshar, Hardik, and then your 2 spinners. That is going to be a bowling combination. I don't see Bumrah, Shami, Siraj playing together, and then you're also going to pick Kuldeep Yadav, unless and until you decide to play Akshar and Jadeja as your 2 spinners. That is the only way you pick Bumrah, Shami and Siraj, but I don't see that happening, not in the Asia Cup, not in the World Cup.
I just feel like Shardul Thakur becomes really important now in this Asia Cup as well as possibly in the World Cup. Now, Surya Kumar Yadav, we've been wondering about this for a while now. Why is it that Surya Kumar Yadav is not being able to translate his T20 success into ODIs? Now, this is what he had to say. He himself can't seem to figure it out, though he's trying and he's doing everything else. He says, I'm really looking forward to do well in ODIs. Everyone says that I'm doing well in T20s. The one-dayers are also white ball cricket. Then why am I not being able to crack this code? I'm working hard on that. I'm ready to adapt to a changed role, but I won't like to change my approach. I'm training to play in different match situations. Like if I go into bat in the 36th over in an ODI, I just can't start with a T20, with the T20 approach. In T20s with 14 overs to go, the team might just be 1 wicket down, whereas in one-days, you might have lost 4 or 5. So I need to keep that in mind and plan my innings. Okay, so that's Surya Kumar Yadav trying to figure this out before the World Cup, before the Asia Cup. But Rohit Sharma, what is he thinking about his performance? We all remember 2019 World Cup and the scintillating form that Rohit Sharma was in. He himself has now admitted that he wants to get back to that kind of mindset. Though this is what he's talking about, we keep discussing this on the show. Why has this particular player been left out? How are they deciding the playing 11? He has tried to clarify this, and he says, if someone misses out, there's a reason. And let's put that quote up, and then I'll come to Chetan and Jamie on that. And he says, while picking the best combination, there will be guys who will miss out for various reasons. And Rahul and I, we've tried our best to explain to the players why they're not in the squad. We've tried to communicate with the players after every selection and playing 11 that has been announced. We talk to them face to face, one-on-one, why they've not been picked. Sometimes I try to put myself in their shoes, he says. And then says, when I wasn't picked in 2011, it was such a heartbreaking moment for me. And I felt what's left after being dropped from the World Cup squad. If anyone misses out, there's a reason for it. If you're the unlucky one, we can do nothing. And I understand where he's coming from. He also goes on to talk about the agony of being dropped from the World Cup squad, Jamie, in 2011. We all remember that. And we'll take that quote. But sometimes it's very difficult, to be able to figure out your squad. I know we obviously have the benefit of hindsight. We're sitting here and we're all looking at it from a different perspective. But being there, seeing the conditions, trying to take a decision, it's not an easy job. He may have made some wrong calls, but at the end of the day, there is justification and the right one in the way he's saying this.
Yeah, I think the 2011 factor is something that's no doubt driving him, because he knows, look, it's now been 12 years. The World Cup is back in India. I was snubbed there for valid reasons. The runs weren't adding up. But somewhere inside Rohit Sharma, there is that point to prove. And he also spoke about how he wants to get back into that form he was heading into the 2019 World Cup, where he was a leading run getter. He got 500s. I think Chetan probably saw all 5. I think I'm doing mental math. I think I saw 3 of them, or maybe 2 of them, and there was a 50 odd against Australia at the Oval. So he's got a lot to consider about his own form. He's got a lot to consider about the World Cup. We've heard Virat Kohli say that the pressure of 2011 was nothing like he'd ever seen. Everyone is saying you have to win the trophy. So obviously, there's a lot that Rohit Sharma has said and done and will continue to say. We've all 3 done shows where we've questioned the meaning behind things that he says. How seriously do we look at it? I just hope right now that Rohit Sharma, not tactically, Rohit Sharma actually does get even 50% back into the kind of run scoring zone, not form, but zone he was in heading into that 2019 World Cup. Because the start is going to be massive. There's doubts over the middle order, who plays. Can Shreyas Iyer, can KL Rahul come back and do it? Right now, this is the time, like Chetan said, now it's time to stop talking and now do the walking, right? We heard Rohit Sharma talk about being aggressive all through 2022. That aggression was nowhere to be seen in the Asia Cup. It was nowhere to be seen in the T20 World Cup. Now is the time, Rohit. Pick it up. Let these comments, forget the comments, forget the media, forget the reporters. Just start playing like the man who, to my mind, is a white ball beast right now.
Absolutely.
Rohit, the batter, is going to be far more important than Rohit, the captain. That's just my view on this.
Okay, now this is heartbreaking to read this, and I mean we know what happened, but let's put this up. The agony of being dropped from the World Cup squad. He goes on to say, once he got to know. He said, I was sad and sitting in my room and didn't know what to do next. I remember Yuvraj Singh, calling me to his room and taking me out for dinner. He explained to me how it feels when you're left out. He told me the best thing is that you have so many years in front of you. As we play in the World Cup, you take this chance to work hard on your game and skills and make a comeback. There's no way that you won't play for India or not get a chance to play in the World Cup. So I went back to the drawing board, worked hard, and immediately after the World Cup I made a comeback, and it's been good since then. Since this is me who's gone through this emotion, no one can tell me that it's easier said than done. I've faced exclusion from a World Cup squad and I know how it exactly feels. So I don't think there is any way to console a player why he's been left out of the World Cup. The only way is you look up and you say, you know what, I'm not going to give up and I'm going to continue to play and do better. And look at what he did in 2019 World Cup for India. But having said that, to have that conversation, Chetan, it can't be easy, yeah? To, to tell Yuzvendra Chahal that he's not in your World Cup plans. I also wonder about the uncertainty. You know, it's easier said than done when you say players को हमने बोला है कहाँ जहाँ पे जगह जहाँ पे हम बोलेंगे वहाँ पे खेलना, पर वो खेलेंगे कि वो नहीं खेलेंगे कल का मैच या परसों का मैच. That uncertainty, you know, that it must be a huge stress causing thing, right?
It is. But Neha, whenever any team faces a tournament like this, the entire 15-man squad or 17, 18-man squad is aware or is made aware, which is the first choice playing 11. So in this scenario or in any other scenario, the team knows that this is your first choice 11, which is how they distribute the role accordingly. Now, probably Ishan Kishan knows that he can be asked to call up as an opener, as a keeper, and a middle order batsman. So he has to mentally prepare accordingly. When they go to the World Cup, if KL Rahul is included, he would know that KL Rahul is the first choice wicketkeeper. And his role, when he's called up to play, is going to depend on whether he's opening the innings or he's keeping or again batting in the middle. So the players themselves are aware that, what the first choice 11 is and what kind of roles they'll be needed to perform. When they are called up, if they are called up. There have been instances when players are taken in the squad and they're not used at all. So the bigger question obviously is how to tell somebody that you're dropped, how to keep that communication clear. And I think the role of the selectors, the chief of selector becomes really important there. Somebody like an Ajit Agarkar, if and what seems very, very possible now that Yuzvendra Chahal will not be part of the World Cup squad, then Ajit Agarkar needs to pick up the phone and say, look, hard luck. We could not include you in the ODI World Cup, but there's a T20 World Cup on the horizon. And then there are other tournaments coming up in 24 and 25 and 26. He's still young. He can still play a lot of cricket for India. So just go back to the basics, just go back to the drawing board and keep pushing. So his opportunity will come eventually. And it's tougher for somebody like Chahal because he's been, he missed out. He was part of the team last year but didn't get to play. He missed out in 21. So, it's been a case of ifs and buts for Yuzvendra Chahal. But look, it's been a 15-man squad for a long time, and some people do miss out Rohit Sharma. It's going to be a fantastic story if he lifts the ODI World Cup, having missed the 2011 tournament by a whisker. And at that time, you could not fault somebody like an MS Dhoni or selectors to leave him out because you had to pick between him and Virat Kohli. These are two really big names. So you couldn't really fault their choices, given the way Virat Kohli was batting at that time, given the kind of knocks that Virat Kohli played during the World Cup. So you couldn't really fault their selection at all. So the good part here is somebody like a Rohit Sharma, did not break down after that. Having covered Indian cricket at that phase, you could see the visible changes from 2008, 9, 10, 11 Rohit Sharma and Rohit Sharma post the 2011 World Cup. This was a hungrier Rohit Sharma. This was a more inspired, more eager Rohit Sharma. And look, today, like Jamie said, he is a one-day great and probably the most reliable ODI batsman in this team at the moment.
I think with this, I'll wrap this show up. But I remember a conversation with Robin Uthappa that always stays with me, where he says it's really easy to get into the Indian team. The most difficult part is how do you remain there? How do you make sure that you have that spot? How do you cement your place, which is by far the most difficult thing to do? That's it then, guys. Thank you so much, as always, Chetan Narula and Jamie Alter, for joining us here. We're wrapping this up, completely out of time. But Asia Cup coverage will be here on News 9 Live. We'll be building up to the game. There'll be analysis, stats, preview reviews. So do subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments, do put them in the comment section below. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now